Welcome you all for joining. Good evening. How's everyone doing? Thank you all for coming in this evening for this introductory session to data analysis using SQL. I hope you're all having a great day. You're all welcome to this session that is about data analysis using SQL. My name is David Olateju and I'll be your host for this session. So for this today's session, we'll be introducing ourselves to SQL and how we can implement it in our data journey. As we all know, we're all about making data-driven decisions, but how do we arrive at those data? How do we arrive at those data that we use to make decisions? How do we arrive at the insights? How do we arrive at getting data, querying data, and everything? That's what we are here for, to introduce ourselves to a tool that is more proper to query database, to get data from different sectors and to tailor made it to so that we make data-driven decisions. That's why we are here. It is an introductory session to data analysis using SQL. Once again, my name is David Olatejo and I'll be your host for this session. So, according to it, SQL is actually a required skill in over 70% of job postings. I know we all know Indeed is a job posting platform and they carried out a particular analysis recently and it was said that over 70% of the job postings that are there, they all required SQL and that they didn't actually stop here and they projected that in the next 10 years, there will be a 20% increase. So, and we all know that in this technology, and as they always say, change is constant. And we know that technology keeps improving every day. For us to be at the center of that growth, for us to be at the center of that improvement, we have to learn some more on demand skills that are required. That's why we are here. We are here to introduce ourselves to SQL and how to implement it and what it is meant for, and so much more. So, this evening, we'll be inviting Miss Fumilayo Adamu to walk us through some things that we can use and some things that it is that could be done with SQL. So, Ms. Funlayo, you have the floor.
Yeah, David, thank you very much for this opportunity. And I want to thank everyone here. My name is Fumilayo, and today I'm talking on SQL or SQL, as some people do say. So, now what is SQL? SQL means Structured Query Language, and it is a query language that is used for relational database to get data out of a database. Now, that word called query language, now, what does that mean? It means that it is a computer language that requests and retrieve data from database and information systems by sending queries. So it means that if you want to it means that if you want to retrieve data from that database, you have to like make a request, and we make that request using what SQL language. So that's what it all means here. Now, I also made mention of relational database, but I'll be explaining that later on. Let's go into the types of database. So I just hope that you are with me and you're following me. So what are the type of database? We have the relational database, the NoSQL database, and the cloud database. So I'll just quickly go through this before we move to the main stuff of today. Now, for a relational database, it uses tabular structure with rows and column. And an example of a relational database is MySQL, which we use SQL language to write it. So MySQL is an open source which is designed by Oracle. Then we also have the Microsoft SQL Server, and we have the Postgres SQL, which is also an open source. Now, for the NoSQL database, these are databases that uses what non-tabular and flexible data models, and it makes them suitable for handling large volumes of unstructured or semi-structured data. So for this NoSQL database, it means that they are in non-tabular format. And for this session, we are not going to be focusing on the NoSQL database. And for the cloud database too, these are databases that are provided by cloud service providers. So we can actually store MySQL database in these cloud databases. So for example, we have the AWS cloud database. So I just hope that you are with me. Now, why do companies store data in databases? So I'm sure that so many of us might be wondering, why do companies store data in databases? So the first one is for data organization. Databases provide what a structured and organized way to store your data. So for number two is data security. Databases, it allows companies to implement access and control, ensuring that only authorized users can have access to specific data, in that nobody, or maybe nobody from just anywhere, can have access to the data. it has to be authorized. Then also, it helps companies to handle large amount of data, and also for data consistency and for data backup and recovery. So there are times that maybe you can just accidentally just delete your data, or maybe you just lost your data. So this SQL databases, for example, which is MySQL, it actually provides data backup and recovery. So now let's go to key SQL components. So for this key SQL components, the first one will be data retrieval and filtering. So I just hope I'm not too fast and you guys are with me. So we have data retrieving and filtering. And the first one is the select clause or the select keyword. Now, what is this select? It is used to retrieve data from the database. So you can specify which columns you want to see in the results. So, for example, let's imagine we have a table with rows and columns. So you can just specify using the select keyword. You can say select column 1, or you can just say, or you can say select country from the name of the table. So you have to specify that. Now, for also the data retrieval and filtering, we also have the where clause. We have the where clause, and the where clause is used to filter data based on specific conditions. For those of us that did that project on Excel, where I think they give us a column with country. So let's imagine that maybe the company needs a data for just the United States. So you can use this where clause to like filter countries equals to USA. So it allows you to specify criteria to narrow down the results and get data that meets those conditions. So that is that for data retrieval and filtering. So we have sorting, grouping, and joining data. So that is another part of it, the sorting, grouping, and joining data. So for the sorting, we have the order by. The order by. So this order by, it allows you to sort the result based on values in one or more columns. So you can actually sort them in ascending order or in descending order. So let us imagine we have a column of age. So you can decide to order that column in descending order, that is from the biggest to the highest, or maybe in ascending order, that's from the lowest to the biggest. So that is that for the order by. So after that, we now have the group by. So we use the group by and the having clause together. That's HAVING. So we use the group by and having clause together. Now, the group by clause is group rows with the same values in a specific column. It is often used with the aggregate function like count and all that. So now I'm going to explain this for us. So for example, now let's imagine we want to select a row. So we use the word select. Okay, so we want to select a column. Okay, we can say select the department, that is the name of the column, from the table. Then you group by department. So let's imagine that in that department now, okay, we have different departments. We have the HR team. Okay, we have the team lead. Okay, we have the tech section and just all that. So it means we are trying to group those roles based on the department. Now we are not going to just stop at that. We are now going to add the having. So that having is going to aggregate it. So you say group by department, having count greater than 5. So it means that we want to count those departments that is greater than 5. So I just hope we are not confused from all what I've been trying to explain. So after that, we now have the join. So the primary use of join in SQL is to combine data from multiple tables into a single result. And relational databases like MySQL store data in separate tables to reduce redundancy and improve data organization. However, this can lead to data being spread across different tables, making it difficult to retrieve meaningful information from it. And that is why we have to use join, which allows us to establish connections between tables based on a common column, which is known as the join condition. And for this join condition, we have to have the primary key and the foreign key, which we are going to use to join the two or more tables together. So for this join, we have the inner join, the left join, the right join, and the full join. So now I'll be explaining each of them quickly. Now for the inner join, this returns record that have matching values in both tables. So let's assume that we have the employee table from the left and we have the department table from the right, and they are both linked by the department ID, which is both the foreign key and the primary key. So this is how we are going to write it. It is just because there is no way I can actually display this for us, but you just try to grab what I'm trying to say. So what you have to do is that you have to select the columns from the two tables that you are trying to match. So you select the column, you select the column 1 from the left table and the column 2 from the right table. Then from what table? Then you write the from the table. Then you now specify your inner join. You specify your inner join on the department table on so that on now is what you are going to link both the primary key and the foreign key together. So maybe after this class, you can just go back to this website. I think it's W3 School, and you'll be able to get a better grasp of what I'm trying to say, because I can't really display this for us to see. Now for the left join, it's just like you're trying to return all the records from the left table and the match records from the right table. So that is that. And for the right table too, sorry, for the right join, you are trying to return all the records from the right table and the match records from the left table. So that is for the right join. And for the full join, MySQL does not really have a syntax for the full join. But what you can do is by combining a left join and a right join with a union clause together. So this will allow you to have a full join. So that is that. So after that, we now go to the data modification. So I'll just rewind a bit. I've talked about the data retrieval and featuring, where we use the select and where. Then I've talked about the sorting, grouping, and joining, where we use the order by, the group by, and the joins. That is the different type of joins. Now for the data modification, we are going to be talking about the insert. So this insert statement is used to add specific rows to an existing table. This table must be existing before for you to add rows to it. So all you need to do is to just is to call the clause, or you call the keyword the insert into. Then you specify the name of the table. Then also you specify the name of the column, and you specify the values that you are trying to insert into this table. So that is that for the insert. Then for the updates, we also have the update for data modification. So let's assume now in that data set that they gave us in for the managers now. So we can see that in the country column, there are some columns that we spelled wrongly. Like maybe some now was spelled as US. So we can use this update function to write the correct spelling. So the correct spelling will now be United States of America. So what you need to do is just type the update clause, the name of the table, then you now say set country equals to United States of America, where the country before, where the previous one before was US. So this is how you update this is how you update a row, or you update values in the table. Maybe values that you want to like change. So that is that for the update. So I just hope that you are still with me. Now I will be talking about the delete. I'm talking about the delete. So the delete from statement, it lets you remove rows from a table based on specific conditions. It is like deleting a row from your spreadsheet. So when you want to remove some certain rows that meet some condition, you use the delete clause. So you can just specify delete from the name of the table where the age is greater than 60. So let's imagine we want to delete all the rows where the age is greater than 60. So this is where you now use the delete. So for all these clauses or for these keywords, so let's imagine that maybe the data that you're working with in Excel is so big. So instead of just importing the data straight to Excel, so you can just use all these clauses or keyword to like filter the specific data that you want. So let's imagine that you just want data for country where it is equal to the United Kingdom. You don't need to import all the table into Excel. Just import only the rows where the country is equal to United States. Now, I'll just say a few things that you should note on SQL is that SQL keywords are not case sensitive. What does this mean? It means that, for example, now, like the select keyword, you can either write it in small letter or capital letter, but what is mostly recommended is that you write it in capital letter. And also, I recommend W3 School to start with. Why? It's because all the syntax and keywords are well broken down there.